Jumbie story. And this is a real Jumbie story. And this one is about Johnny Taylor. Now, Johnny Taylor was a saga boy. You know what was a saga boy? Young boys who like to dress up. And in those days, they used to have something they call shaking. And they would put something in their bum pocket. I don't have any bum pocket. And they would hang their kerchief outside. And that was his style. Yes, that was his style. But you see, now the boys adapting that and they have towels hanging up. And they used to dress in the nice dungaree and the kick and stab shoes. Yes. And they would dress in the tailoring shirt. And every night, Johnny had a girlfriend in Deep Bay. And Johnny lived up Green Hill. Yes. And every weekend when Johnny get paid, Johnny would walk it to Deep Bay, which is almost over 10 miles from here. Yes. People used to walk for long journeys. And he would walk it back every night. Yes. Listen. And so Johnny, grandmother used to always tell him, Johnny, you like to walk late at night. Johnny, keep off the road so late at night. And Johnny never used to pay in mind. Johnny was in love with this girl, man. And every weekend he would go and court her. And when he would leave her, in those days, you know, the courting period was a long period. You were lucky if you get to hold the hand after five times of courting. And you would start from holding hand to kissing. And when you get to, that night, Johnny got his first kiss. And Johnny was as if he was walking on the air. And he was coming home, cherry merry as they would say. And he was like he was floating on the air. And then when he reached Molyneux Cross Part, where one road gone up to Upper Boreal, one road gone into Molyneux, one road gone down to Boreal, one road gone into Lodge. And in those days it was dirt road. And you know what they say about cross paths? That Jumbie like to harbor around cross paths. Yes. And so when Johnny approached the cross path, his head started rising. He knew he was in the presence of some evil force. And then he started trembling. And he smelled salve. Salve. It's a kind of ointment. He started smelling, associated with the dead. And then he knew he was in the presence of a Jumbie. And he became frozen in his spot. And then he remembered his grandmother said, if you are in the presence of a Jumbie and you want to see the Jumbie, mash your heel. And Johnny Taylor mashed his heel. And they appeared in front of him. An apparition with one foot across the road, in the middle of the road, the cross path, and another foot across it. And when he looked down, there were the feet of a cattle. A cattle. And he couldn't see the head. And then he remembered his grandmother said that if you want to see a Jumbie, you must rub your eyes with a little urine. So he got a little urine. He rubbed his eyes with a little urine. And then there appeared, he saw the most grotesque looking figure there. And he didn't know whether he must go that way or that way. And then he remembered his grandmother said, if you want to run a zombie, you must take off your clothes and turn it on the wrong side and put it back on. And so Johnny Taylor took off his pants, took off his socks, took off his underwear, turned them on the wrong side, put them back on. But this zombie was a fierce zombie, and he didn't move. And just as Johnny was about to collapse, clammy sweat running down his face, he remembered his grandmother said, if you want to fool a zombie, tell them you're going in the opposite direction. And they would go around to back you around and to meet you. Because they go around in circles. They don't travel straight lines. They go around in circles. So he said, Lord, he was going to Green Hill in the opposite direction. He said, Lord, I don't know when I'm going up a barrier. And when the zombie hear that, it take off, it vanish. Well, Johnny Taylor, he started running and he never stopped running until he reached up, river got up, Guinea grass, jump in the house. And when he unlatched the door, went in, drops, sit down. And as he dropped, sit down in his chair, he heard a chain rattling all around his house, looking for him. Johnny Taylor had escaped a rolling calf zombie. And Johnny Taylor decided he's going to Deep Bay to live, because he ain't walking it back. And he went to Deep Bay to live with his girlfriend. Yes. Yes. And folks, there was a fella by the name, and this is a short one to end with, by the name of Abba. And this is a New Vision zombie story. Was told by Benji Nisbet, Lorna Callender's father. Johnny Taylor was a story that was told to me by Benji Nisbet. But I've adapted it. It is said that Abba used to go around out drinking with his friends. Same thing. He used to get warning. You see that new river there? And that big tamarind tree there? Tamarind tree? That is the harboring place for zombie and evil spirits. But Abba never used to pay any mind. And he used to go drink with his friends. And one night, it was moonlight night, after midnight, he was walking home and he was going from side to side, Cherry Mary and singing, under the liquor. Yes. And so rain started to pour. And Abba decided that he was going under the tamarind tree by New River to shelter. Well, who tell him do that? When you look, Abba waited there for the rain to stop. Then he looked in the distance. He saw a procession coming in the dead of night, dressed in white, and in front of them they had someone dressed in black. like a leader. And you couldn't see the face. It was like they were dressed in hoodies. And they were going in a procession. And as they got closer to where Abba was sheltering under the tamarind tree, they paused. And he noticed that there were 8 pallbearers. And they had a coffin. And they stopped where Abba was sheltering. And then the leader said, take out your shovels. And they took out some shovels. And they proceeded to go to the tamarind tree. And they turned, the men with the shovel turned and asked the leader where we must bury the dead. And the leader said, bury where Abba there. Boy, Abba was out of port. I never see a drunken man come sober and run so fast home. It was then Abba learned his lesson. No play with that new river tamarind tree. Especially after midnight. Thank you very much.